Right boys, welcome to today's YouTube video. So this one is a little bit different. As you can see, it's a bit of a different background. This one is full of value, however. You're gonna enjoy this one. It's exactly about how to get chatters on board. What are chatters? Why do you need them? And how do they work? And how much should you pay them? All of these questions will be answered because I get this question all the time. And it's one of the best parts about this business model. The fact that you're able to hire people on board and do majority of the work for you whilst you're sleeping. There is cash being printed in the background. In this video, I will teach you exactly what it is, how it works, etc. And you shouldn't have any more questions after this video. Hopefully you enjoy. Also, I will mention it later in the video as well, but we have a very, very exciting announcement to make. There's a trailer coming out on this channel in the next couple of days. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribed and turn on a little bell notification to be notified once this trailer is out, because you're not gonna wanna miss this one. For now, from me and Fiji, I hope you enjoy the video and I'll see you on the next one. Alright guys, so let's jump into today's YouTube video. As you can tell, it's a little bit of a different background. That is because we have something very, very exciting coming here on the YouTube channel. But anyway, that is going to be announced very, very soon. But in today's video, we're going to be talking about where to find OnlyFans chatters. So a quick overview for a lot of people who are either starting out, they might not understand the concept of getting a chatter on board, why you would do it, how does it work, or does it work, etc. So for a bit of an overview, as soon as you take on a couple of models, you'll be wanting to take on a chatter, as it will become difficult to handle the influx of messages. There are a couple of different options, and we'll cover the different options on today's video, right? So overall, once you hire a couple of, once you take on a couple of clients for your OnlyFans management agency, when you just have one, you might be able to do it all by yourself, also depending on the influx of messages. But once you start getting 2, 3, 4, 5 models onto your agency, there is physically no way you're able to manage it all by yourself. So you have to hire on what are called chatters. And these are people who will basically be logging into the account and replying to the messages and basically making you a lot more money. And there's a couple of different ways on how you can find them, onboard them, and how you can pay them as well. So in this video, I wanted to quickly cover a couple of the different topics or different ways of doing it. So let's go into it. So the first one is people you may know, right? So this is the most obvious one, and this is the option that a lot of people start with, which is including myself. I started with this option when I first started my agency a good 3 years ago, right? So these are people you personally, you know yourself. Maybe it's somebody that your model knows as well. Maybe you guys used to work together, you guys went to university, college together, etc. Just somebody that you know in real life. Maybe you met before, etc. Right? The great thing with this role as well is because it's just chatting, quote unquote, right? The person doesn't necessarily need to have like a high level of qualification, a load of experience, etc. In an ideal world, yes, of course, if the person has loads of chatting experience and they have loads of qualifications and sales and blah blah, that helps. But in reality, the only thing that you really need, the most necessary 2 things, is one, that the person has enough time on their hands, right? Because if somebody wants to do this and they only have 1 or 2 hours a day, that wouldn't really work. The other thing as well is making sure that their English is absolutely perfect, right? So making sure that the person who you're getting on board as a chatter, their English and their grammar and their spelling is spot on, right? That's in English. If your model is in the Spanish market, for example, then obviously the chatter needs to be fluent in Spanish, so on and so on, right? So that's the first thing. The people you may know is the easiest way to get started. However, it's definitely, I would say, from personal experience, is the worst one, because a lot of the times they aren't really that serious. I mean, even in the second line it says here, it is important to remember, though that it can be often difficult to have a friend work for you, and like the whole friend and business terms, they start to blur. So you need to make sure that you guys have the right expectations set out from the get-go, so you both understand what needs to be done and you are working and you're making money, right? Because for a lot of people, they'll get their friends on board, but the friend is kind of taking the piss, they're not really taking it serious, etc., etc., and it just doesn't work out and you waste everybody's time, right? So that's the first one. If you really need to, that's option number 1, is people you already know, maybe people your model knows, etc., etc. So that's the first one. The biggest tip here, if you are going to do it, Right here, as it says, expectations are clearly laid out at the beginning. That's the biggest tip I can give you guys for this one. And let's move on to the second one. So the second one is offshoring. So another option is to use offshore staff. So this will be usually somebody in the Philippines, maybe Asia, South America, etc. The cost of the staff members is low. However, the language is also pretty shit a lot of times, right? So it's kind of, you get one of the two, right? You either, for a lot of the times, if you're going to do it yourself and you try and find a chatter in the Philippines, not always, but for the majority of the part, somebody in overseas, what you'll find is, yes, they're a lot cheaper to work with simply because of the exchange rate. So, for example, £500 to somebody in the UK isn't perhaps a lot. To somebody in the Philippines, £500 is a lot of money, right? So people will be more than happy to do it for £500 and so on and so on, right? However, there is a cost that comes with it. So yes, you're quote unquote saving money because you don't have to pay the staff member perhaps as much. However, their English skill is pretty shit most of the time, which is completely understandable because English is not their first language. Matter of fact, their language is nothing like the English language. So they have to learn an entire fucking language, vocab, etc., right? So for a lot of the times, what will happen is you'll hire them on board, and yes, they might be fairly cheap and fairly affordable. However, because their English isn't perfect, what will happen is the fans on the model's account, they'll notice that it's not actually the girl that is replying anymore, right? Because all of a sudden the account has now got spelling mistakes, grammatical mistakes, and so on and so on. So now the fan, you put the two and two together, unsubscribe, and then from there on your account starts losing a lot of income, starts losing money. So although technically you're saving money, right, with these offshore chatters that you want to onboard yourself, in the long run, you're actually losing money. So again, but that isn't always. We have had some instances where we have got lucky and we've found people in the Philippines who had great English, and they didn't cost us a whole lot. So it is a hit or miss, but the biggest tip I can give you for this one, guys, if you are going to go with this option, is make sure that before you hire a chatter on board who is obviously going to be overseas, make sure you speak to them through DMs for a good couple of days. Yes, obviously jump on a Zoom call with them as well, but mainly speak to them through WhatsApp, right, or Telegram, however they want to communicate, but just message them back and forth. Just have random conversations, try and get to know them a little bit through DMs, ask them what their hobbies are like, where are they from, etc., right? And try and do it through DMs, because on Zoom they might sound like they have amazing English and they might sound great, but if they're spelling and their grammatical if they have grammar mistakes, there's no point hiring that person. Okay, so that's that one. Then the last one, which is the one that I really recommend at this stage. I mean, it really depends on what stage you're at. If you're at the stage where you have a good couple of models, 3-4 models, they're making anywhere from 10 to 50,000 a month, and you really just want to scale this thing and you don't fucking have time to hire people on board and train them and so on and so on, then this option is for you, and this is the one that we've been using ourselves for the last couple of months, coming up to a year, to be honest. And this has just saved us so much fucking time. So this is basically going to other agencies. So these are specific chatting agencies. These are not like other OnlyFans management agencies. These are other businesses that are set up specifically to help other OnlyFans management agencies input chatters, and that is it, as simple as that. So there are a lot of great chatting agencies that can provide 24/7 coverage on your OnlyFans account, but most of these require your model doing over 10,000 a month and be getting over 10 subs per day, right? So again, for a lot of beginners, maybe this wouldn't perhaps apply to you, but for a lot of beginners as well, you're able to go ahead and sign up your first client who's already doing 10,000 a month as well. So that could potentially help you out straight away from there. And this just saves you so much time, because not only do you not have to find the chatters, you don't have to qualify them, you don't have to interview them, you don't have to onboard them, and you don't have to train them, and you don't have to manage them. Those 6 things that I just mentioned there literally used to cost us like weeks upon weeks, right? And now we just pay this one agency, they do it all for us, and it's insane. I mean, in terms of results as well, let me just show you really quickly. So right here, so on the left hand side, if you just move perhaps my camera, so on the left hand side, this was a model we brought on back in September. She was averaging every 48 hours, so every 2 days, she was averaging about 3,300 in messages, as you can see right through the messages. and she was averaging 3.3 thousand in every 48 hours. After onboarding us onto our agency and us setting up the chatting stuff as well, literally now 10th of September, literally as you can see 2 days after that, she's now averaging every 48 hours $17,000 through messages, which is fucking nuts, right? So from 3,000 to 17,000, really within this time frame. As you can see, this is only 2 days apart. So this is the 8th of September, and then this one was from the 10th of September. So within the 2 days apart, obviously we didn't do a crazy amount of marketing. The only real big difference here was the chatters. So we onboarded 24-hour coverage, which basically meant that there are free chatters on her account, and yeah, they just simply do rotas. They once one finishes, they relay all the information over to the next chatter, and so on and so on, and they literally work around the clock. So this account is printing cash 24/7, and that's something that you can get set up straight away, which is absolutely insane. I don't know any other business model that you can do that with. So if this is something that you guys are interested with and getting started with, there'll be a link down below in the YouTube video as well for you guys to check us out and how you can get started with an agency like this, how you can get coaching from us, and how you can get started with OFM as a whole. Hopefully this video has been helpful for you, and like I said, we have a very exciting announcement to be made in the next couple of days here. It will be on this YouTube channel as well, so please make sure if you haven't, subscribe, turn on your post notifications, because there's a really exciting series coming out on this channel. So look out for that, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.